Hayatında kimselere anlatamadığımız şeyler vardır. Onları öyle gerilere kaldırıp saklarız ki kendimiz bile unuturuz. Ama bazen o unuttuk sandıklarımız bir anda hatırlatır kendini bize.
Inspired by real life stories.
Azıcık sevilmek benim de hakkım. İşte o gece dayak başladı. Bir daha da hiç bitmedi.
Bunların geçmişte kalması gerekmiyor muydu?
Şiddet denilen şey virüs gibidir. Ruhumuza bir kere girdi mi, kuşaklar...
A new show is starting on our sister channel SABC 3 on the 2nd of July and will be broadcast from Monday to Friday at 7:30. Well, it actually started yesterday. Now, The Red Room is a telenovela that takes place in a therapist's office in Istanbul. Vulnerable women pass through to get treatment and handle their traumas and problems. Based on the real experiences of an Istanbul psychiatrist, the episodes are built around the harrowing stories of the patients, while at the center of the drama is the team of therapists in the clinic and their own personal issues. To share more on this, we're joined by Pat Van Heerden, the head of channel at SABC 3. Now, Pat, a very good morning to you. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm great, Pat. Good to have you on the show this morning. We've just seen a brief trailer of this show. What is it all about?
Well, let's start with the selection of it.
Yes.
You know, if we think about what's going on in our country in terms of 57 people killed every day, and that 70% or over 70% of that is male-on-male violence, and that we have the highest domestic abuse cases in the world. I mean, those are not stats to look at lightly. And then furthermore, we come out of such a violent past or a conflicted past.
Okay.
And the series is basically women who have experienced abuse that go through a period of therapy. It's really looks at the therapeutic process as to how one can deal with your past traumas and unlock a present for yourself and unlock a future in which you can accept love and be loved again. So it's these sort of extraordinary journeys that women undertake in order to seek healing and to get better.
And I suppose that element of how to deal with past traumas will certainly resonate with so many South Africans. And it leads to my next question. What really inspired this concept?
Well, I think in Turkey, I mean, I think women deal with there's a silence around what happens to women in domestic spaces. And this was a choice to say, let's start talking about this. Let's start talking about what happens in private spaces. And let's encourage conversation in order to heal. And so this started in Istanbul. And in fact, in Turkey, it was the top program on the evening that it played. And people were fairly riveted. It began to have a sort of social media presence as well as a deep conversation around with television viewers.
Okay. And what's the message behind the show?
I think the message behind the show is that if we're going to try, we can't always buy local. It's very expensive. And how can we as citizens see ourselves as global citizens rather than local citizens? And this is a series that says, look, this is how another nation looked at the kind of traumas that were in its nation. And this is how they dealt with it. They started to do therapy, but they turned it into a drama in which people are more able to watch it. It's not factual programming. I mean, it is based on real stories, but it actually is quite entertaining. There's also the riveting sort of melodrama that happens amongst the therapists. Their love stories within it. There's the elements of melodrama. But it really is a series saying, if we're going to get foreign, then let's do something that's meaningful to our nation, and that we can see how other nations did it.
Yeah, as much as it is, it's worth watching, and I would say that. Why is it worth watching? I mean, you say that it's all about dealing with trauma, yet entertaining at the same time. So who is it aimed at? So who's the kind of people that are targeted?
I think it's aimed at a popular audience, but it's really, our target audience for S3 is a sort of progressive citizen, a individual who's questioning the world, who's looking at global politics, who's part of the world. So it's really aimed at that kind of individual, and obviously at individuals who feel trapped in the past, and it's an example of how these stories of hope come out of very traumatic pasts. And I think that's it. You know, the entertaining part is that much of it is dramatized. You know, even the events in the past of these people's lives, it's dramatized and it's quite beautifully shot. It's a high-end production. So in terms of that, I think it's very palatable.
Okay.
I think that, you know, part of the problem
Okay,
for us
unfortunately,
is that,
Pat, we're out of time. They really need to be out here.
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining us, Pat.
But thank you so much for the interview, and I hope people really try and watch the series.
We certainly hope so too. Now, Pat Van Heerden is the head of channel at SABC 3, talking to us about The Red Room, which started yesterday on the 2nd of July and will be broadcast every day from Monday to Friday at 7:30 p.m.